Have you ever wondered what really happens inside a handgun the exact moment you pull the trigger? Well, today, we're diving deep inside a Glock to uncover that intricate, high-speed ballet of engineering that makes it all work. So let's get right into it.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty, you've got to understand something crucial. Everything we're about to break down, it happens in the blink of an eye. Seriously, it's this incredible chain reaction that's over almost as soon as it starts.
When you get right down to it, pulling that trigger kicks off four main events. You've got the firing pin striking, the gases expanding, the bullet flying out, and of course, the slide recoiling. Now I want you to pay really close attention to that last one, the recoil. Because it's not just a side effect, it's the secret sauce. It's the engine that powers the entire reloading cycle.
All right, let's start at square one. We're gonna trace the journey from the moment your finger touches the trigger all the way to the bang.
So when you pull that trigger, you're kicking off a super precise chain reaction. That first pull moves a piece called the trigger bar to the back. And see that part called the disconnector? It's really important. It acts kind of like a ramp, forcing the trigger bar down at the very last second. And that little downward motion, that's the key that unlocks and releases the firing pin.
And that firing pin, it's the star of the show right now. It's basically a spring-loaded pin that, once it's released, shoots forward and smacks the primer on the back of the cartridge. And that one little strike is what kicks off the whole chemical reaction.
Right, so that strike ignites the primer, and the primer ignites the gunpowder inside the casing. This creates this incredibly powerful but contained explosion. All those expanding gases have to go somewhere, right? And the only place to go is forward, pushing that bullet down the barrel at an insane speed.
Okay, but here's the thing. Firing the bullet is really only half the story. The absolute genius of this design is how it uses the energy from that first shot to get ready for the next one, all on its own. Let's take a look at how that automatic cycle works. Remember those expanding gases we just talked about? Well, they don't just push the bullet forward. They also slam the slide backward with equal force. As that slide flies back, the barrel unlocks and tilts down just a little bit. At the same time, this tiny little hook, it's called the extractor, is grabbing onto the rim of the used cartridge and yanking it right out of the chamber. Okay, so once that empty casing is pulled back, it hits a little fixed piece called the ejector, and bam, it gets tossed out of the gun. Immediately, the recoil spring, which has been compressed, takes over and shoves the slide forward again. And on its trip back, the slide grabs a fresh round from the magazine, pushes it up a little ramp, and seats it perfectly into the chamber. And that's it. Just like that, the cycle is complete. The pistol is fired, ejected the old round, and loaded a new one, all faster than you can blink. It's completely reset and ready to go again. So, with all this stuff happening at lightning speed, you're probably asking, what stops this thing from just going off by accident? And that is an excellent question. That's where the Glock's really clever integrated safety system comes into play. It's a huge part of the design. The design actually has three separate, independent safeties that all work automatically. The key here is that they're passive. That means they are always on, always working, unless you are deliberately pulling the trigger. Let's look at each one. All right, first up is the one you can actually see, the trigger safety. It's that little lever right in the middle of the trigger itself. The idea is simple. Unless your finger is pressing both that little lever and the main trigger at the same time, the trigger can't move back. This is what helps stop it from firing if it gets bumped or snagged on something.
Next, we have the firing pin safety. This one's internal, so you can't see it. Think of it like a little gatekeeper. It's a spring-loaded block that physically stands in the way of the firing pin, stopping it from moving forward. It's only when the trigger is pulled all the way to the rear that a part of the trigger bar pushes this little block up and out of the way, clearing the path.
And the third one is what's known as the drop safety. And it's named that for a good reason. If you look here, you can see that the back end of the trigger bar is resting on a special shelf. The only way for that bar to drop down off the shelf and release the firing pin is for the trigger to be pulled. This is the mechanism that prevents the gun from firing if it's dropped.
Okay, so we've covered the firing cycle and all the safeties. To wrap things up, let's look at two last but super important pieces of the puzzle. What makes the pistol accurate and how it gets its ammunition. If you were to look down the barrel, you'd see these spiral grooves. That's called rifling. Glocks use a specific kind called polygonal rifling. Now, as the bullet screams down the barrel, these grooves force it to spin, just like when a quarterback throws a perfect spiral. That spin creates gyroscopic stability, which keeps the bullet from tumbling through the air and makes it way more accurate.
So, where are all these bullets coming from? Well, that's the job of the magazine. It's really just a spring-loaded box that holds all the rounds. Inside, a spring pushes up on a piece called a follower, and the follower pushes the whole stack of cartridges up. This makes sure that the top round is always sitting there, ready to be picked up by the slide.
So let's compare a full magazine to an empty one. When it's loaded up, the spring is all squeezed down and the follower is at the bottom. But once it's empty, that spring is fully extended and it pushes the follower all the way to the very top. And that final position is actually a really important signal.
Because after that very last round is fired and the empty case is ejected, that follower, now sitting at the top of the empty magazine, pushes up on the slide block lever. That lever catches a little notch in the slide and physically locks it open. It's the gun's way of giving you a clear visual and physical signal that says, "Hey, I'm empty." And there you have it, a totally self-powering mechanical cycle layered with passive safeties, all kicked off by one simple pull of a trigger. And it all happens in an instant. It just goes to show you the kind of amazing, complex engineering that can be hidden inside everyday objects. Makes you wonder, what other intricate designs are hiding in plain sight?